You've probably heard this advice 1,000 times. If you want to understand yourself better, start a journal. But what if I told you that for a whole lot of people, that advice is, well, just plain wrong? Today we're diving into something called the journaling paradox, and why, for some of us, that blank page is more terrifying than it is freeing.
So let's just ask it straight up. Is journaling actually a universally good thing? We're going to poke at this self-help staple and explore a really fascinating idea. That for some people, the absolute freedom of a blank page isn't the solution, it's the problem.
And that, right there, is the heart of the journaling paradox. See, for a very specific mindset, that vague instruction to just write down your feelings doesn't bring clarity. It brings anxiety, frustration. You end up feeling like you're just spinning your wheels.
So what's really going on here? Well, there's this fundamental clash between a certain way of thinking and these wide-open self-help practices. For this mindset, real insight doesn't come from a total free-for-all. It actually comes from having a map, some rules. Without them, the whole thing just feels like you've been dropped in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight.
Okay, so how do we know this isn't just a theory? Well, believe it or not, the key that unlocks this entire paradox comes down to one single, surprising number that popped out of a huge global survey.
And here it is. -0.1577. I know, it looks like nothing, just a random decimal, but trust me, this little number is a huge clue. It's like a secret code that reveals a hidden link between people who value order and how they feel about just, riffing in a journal.
So let's put on our detective hats. This number is our smoking gun. It tells us that as a particular worldview gets stronger and stronger, something really specific happens when you ask about open-ended journaling. So let's dive in and solve this thing together.
To crack the code of -0.1577, we need a key. And that key is a really interesting framework for understanding people called spiral dynamics. It basically maps out how different worldviews work.
So what is spiral dynamics? The simplest way to think about it is like a map for how human values grow and change over time. It lays out these different stages of thinking, which it calls vMEMEs. Each stage has its own color and, more importantly, its own totally unique way of looking at the world.
Okay, so our mystery number, it's connected to what the model calls the blue vMEME. And for the blue mindset, it is all about one thing, structure. We're talking order, rules, systematic discipline. Think duty, responsibility, a strong moral code, the kind of principles you'd find in a religious text or a military code. For blue, structure isn't just important, it's everything.
All right, get ready for the big reveal. This is the aha moment. The data's a little tricky. It's like a double negative. You see that negative number? It shows a negative connection to people picking the neutral answer on the survey. So what on earth does that mean? It means the more blue someone's thinking is, the more they value that order and duty, the less likely they are to say, I don't care about journaling. They have a strong opinion. They absolutely refuse to be neutral about it.
So yeah, the data couldn't be clearer. The stronger those blue values are, the less chance you'll find someone just shrugging their shoulders about this. They're not on the fence. They take a stand, one way or another.
But why? Why care so much? Well, this gets us to the heart of it all. For this way of thinking, structure isn't a cage, it's the launching pad. It's what makes real, deep reflection even possible. And you can see this in action all over the place.
Think about it. For someone who thrives on order, self-reflection needs, well, scaffolding. It needs a framework. Without clear rules, looking inward just feels chaotic and pointless. It's like being lost at sea with no map, no compass, nothing, just adrift. And that's super stressful.
And this isn't just a theory. Look at the U.S. Army's after-action review. This is a super structured, non-negotiable process. There's no how did that feel? It's 4 simple, direct questions. It's literally discipline turned into a tool for self-awareness.
And it's not just the military. Let's jump to a totally different world, the Ignatian examen. This is an ancient spiritual practice. And again, it's not just write whatever's on your mind. Nope. It's a 5-step, rule-based system for reviewing your day. And millions of people have used it for centuries to find self-knowledge because of that structure, not in spite of it.
So you see the pattern here, right? From the blue perspective, a blank journal feels like total ambiguity, pure chaos, maybe even a bit self-indulgent. But give it some structure, some clear rules, and suddenly it's a powerful tool for disciplined, real growth.
And what's really fascinating is when you look at data from the other mindsets, you see this pattern is totally unique to blue. For example, the impulsive red mindset. It has a strong positive correlation with disagreeing with relaxing rituals. The holistic turquoise mindset, a strong positive one with agreeing to check in with their feelings.
They all have strong opinions for or against something. But only blue has this weird negative relationship with being neutral. It's like a psychological fingerprint.
Okay, but let's pause for a second. We have to be honest here. Is this structured approach always a good thing? This is where we need to talk about the potential downside, the very fine line between helpful discipline and rigid dogma.
You know how every coin has two sides? Well, it's true here too. That sense of duty can turn into just checking a box, without any real exploration. That search for order can become a way to only see what you already believe. And relying on an external authority for guidance, well, that can stop you from ever learning to trust your own gut.
And this is exactly where that helpful structure can morph into a trap. A practice meant for discovery can become just another rigid rule you have to follow. It can lead you to filter things out, ignoring insights that don't fit your moral code. And at its worst, self-reflection becomes, well, a trial. You're not exploring yourself, you're prosecuting yourself.
Which brings us to this really cool, kind of paradoxical insight. That neutrality, the very thing the blue mindset can't stand, that gray area of, I'm not sure, well, that might just be where the real growth happens. It's an invitation to a deeper, more honest look at ourselves. So, we're left with this big question to chew on. To really know yourself, do you need structure to make sure your insights are real and trustworthy? Or does that same structure end up boxing you in, preventing you from having your most authentic discoveries? It's something we're thinking about, maybe even writing about. Thanks for digging into this with me.